The morning sky on planet Xora 7 shimmered with three suns. Ethan Morris stepped out of the research base and breathed in the strange, sweet air. After 6 months as the only human on this joint scientific expedition, he still couldn't believe his luck. Going to the ruins again, Ethan turned to see Zyrtak, the blue-skinned Vrolian scientist who had become his closest friend among the alien team. Zyrtak's 4 arms were busy packing research equipment into a carrying case. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Ethan replied with a smile. "The symbols we found yesterday might be the key to understanding who built those structures." The expedition team consisted of 12 members from 5 different species. Besides Ethan, there were 3 Vrolians, including Zyrtak, 4 tall, insect-like Nexari, 2 rock-skinned Tellurates, and 2 furry Daspek. Together, they represented the first joint human-alien scientific mission, since Earth had made contact with the Galactic Confederation 3 years ago. Expedition leader Kai Vasquez finished checking the weather readings and called the team together. "We have 6 hours before the magnetic storm hits. Stay in your assigned pairs and keep your trackers on at all times." As the team moved through the dense purple forest toward the ancient ruins, Ethan walked beside Zyrtak. They had bonded quickly despite their differences. Where Ethan was impulsive and curious, Zyrtak was careful and methodical. "I still don't understand why you humans touch everything," Zyrtak said, watching Ethan run his fingers along a strange plant. "It's how we learn," Ethan laughed. "Not everything can be understood through scanners." The ruins appeared as they cleared the forest, massive stone structures covered in glowing blue symbols. The team split into pairs, each assigned to different sections. Ethan and Zyrtak headed toward the central chamber they had discovered the previous day. "The energy readings are stronger today," Zyrtak noted, checking the handheld scanner. "Something has changed." Ethan nodded, his excitement building. "Let's find out what." The central chamber was a dome-shaped room with symbols covering every surface. As they worked to document and translate the markings, Ethan noticed a small opening at the back of the chamber. "Look at this," he called to Zyrtak. "I think it's a hidden doorway." Before Zyrtak could respond with the usual caution, Ethan had already slipped through the opening. With a sigh, Zyrtak followed. The hidden room was filled with strange crystal formations that pulsed with inner light. Ethan walked carefully among them, recording everything with his wrist device. "These crystals contain some kind of biological information," Zyrtak said, examining one closely with a scanner. "This could be the greatest discovery of the expedition." The scream of warning from outside came too late. A loud crack echoed through the chamber as the floor beneath them shifted. From a previously hidden pit, a creature emerged, massive, with multiple limbs ending in razor-sharp claws. Its skin glistened with a toxic-looking substance. "Run," Ethan shouted, grabbing Zyrtak's upper arm. They rushed toward the exit, but the creature was faster. It lashed out, one claw catching Zyrtak across the back. The Vrolian fell with a cry of pain. Ethan turned back, pulling out his energy pistol. He fired 3 shots, forcing the creature to retreat momentarily. He grabbed Zyrtak and dragged the alien toward the exit. "Emergency. We need evacuation now," he shouted into his communicator. Outside, chaos had erupted. More creatures had appeared around the ruins. The rest of the team was already retreating toward the forest, firing weapons to keep the predators at bay. Ethan managed to drag Zyrtak to a clearing where the expedition's medical officer, a Tellurate named Gorn, quickly examined the fallen Vrolian. "The toxin has entered the central nervous system," Gorn announced grimly. "Paralysis is spreading. Zyrtak won't survive transport in this condition." Expedition Leader K's voice came through everyone's communicators. "All team members, immediate evacuation. The ship will launch in 15 minutes. Leave all non-essential equipment." Ethan looked down at his friend. Zyrtak's eyes were wide with fear and pain. "I can't move my lower body," Zyrtak whispered. Ethan made his decision in that moment. "I'm staying with Zyrtak," he announced. The team fell silent, staring at him in disbelief. "You can't be serious," Kai Vasquez said, her face showing both anger and concern. "This isn't a debate, Ethan. We all leave now." The rest of the team had gathered around them. In the distance, the howls of more creatures echoed through the forest. Everyone looked nervous, constantly checking the tree line. "I'm not leaving Zyrtak to die alone," Ethan said firmly. He knelt beside the paralyzed Frolian, checking the wound. The blue skin around it had turned a sickly purple. The Nexari scientist, Klivak, stepped forward, her insect-like features unreadable. "This behavior is illogical. The survival of the group must take priority over any individual." "That's not how humans see things," Ethan replied, not looking up from Zyrtak. Gorn, the Tellerit medical officer, checked his scanner again. "The toxin has spread to 60% of the nervous system. Even with our best medical technology back on the ship, recovery would be unlikely." "I can help manage the pain," Ethan said, "and we have medical supplies. If I can slow the toxin." Kai shook her head. "Those supplies are meant for humans. They could make things worse for Vrolian physiology." "Then leave me what you can spare for Zyrtak," Ethan insisted. "I'll figure out the rest." A low rumble shook the ground. Another creature appeared at the edge of the clearing, its many claws digging into the soil. "We have no time for this," said Drell, one of the furried aspect. He fired his weapon at the creature, causing it to retreat temporarily. "The ship leaves in 10 minutes, with or without you." Zyrtak's voice was weak but clear. "Ethan, go with them. It is our way. The injured are left behind when they become a burden." Ethan looked shocked. "That's your way? To just abandon your own people?" "It is the way of all Confederation species," explained Klivak. "Our histories taught us that sentiment leads to greater losses. One life sacrificed often saves many." "Well, that's not humanity's way," Ethan said, his voice rising. "We don't leave our people behind. Not if there's any chance." Kai looked at her watch. 8 minutes, Ethan. Make your final decision." Ethan stood up. "I've made it. I'm staying with Zyrtak. Just leave us some supplies and the portable comm unit. If we survive, we'll contact you." The team members looked at each other in confusion. None of them could understand why anyone would choose certain danger over safety. Reluctantly, Kai nodded. "Your choice, though I think it's madness." She turned to the others. "Leave 1 medical kit, 3 days of rations, and the backup communicator." As the team hurriedly gathered their essential equipment, Drell approached Ethan. "The human concept of self-sacrifice for non-kin is strange to us. I hope it proves valuable." Ethan didn't respond. He was busy preparing a makeshift stretcher to move Zyrtak to better shelter. The Vrolian scientist, Herzen, who had barely spoken during the mission, placed extra power cells on the ground. "These might help," she said quietly before rejoining the others. As the team moved quickly through the forest toward their ship, Kai turned back one last time. "We'll transmit your location to the Confederation. If a rescue becomes possible, they'll send someone." Her expression said she didn't believe it would happen. Within minutes, they were gone. Ethan was left alone with Zyrtak in the clearing, surrounded by strange alien wilderness and the sounds of approaching predators. "Why did you stay?" Zyrtak asked, eyes wide with confusion. "Your own people left because of you. Now you may die here too." Ethan began setting up basic defenses around them, using the energy barriers from the scientific equipment. "Because where I come from, we believe every life has value, and nobody should die alone. My own team members, my own species, left me to die," Zyrtak said, the reality of the situation finally sinking in. "I didn't," Ethan replied simply. He finished securing their small perimeter and sat down beside Zyrtak. "Now let's figure out how to keep you alive until we get rescued." In the distance, they heard the roar of the expedition ship launching into the atmosphere. Ethan watched it grow smaller until it vanished completely, leaving only the alien sky above them. Night fell quickly on Sora 7. Ethan watched as all three suns disappeared below the horizon, plunging the world into darkness broken only by strange glowing plants. He had managed to move Zyrtak to a small cave near the ruins. The entrance was narrow enough that he could defend it if needed. Inside, he had set up the portable energy barrier across the opening and arranged their limited supplies. "The pain is getting worse," Zyrtak said quietly. The paralysis had spread to the alien's upper body, leaving only the head and neck with movement. Ethan checked the medical scanner again. The toxin is still spreading, but more slowly now. He searched through the medical kit, studying the labels on various containers. "I don't know which of these might help you and which might kill you." "In the top pocket of my field suit," Zyrtak said, "there is a small green device. It contains basic Vrolian medical information." Ethan found the device and activated it. A holographic display appeared, showing Vrolian anatomy. He spent an hour studying it before selecting a small vial from the kit. "This might help slow the toxin," he said, filling a syringe. "But I'm not sure." "Try it," Zyrtak said. "I trust you more than I trusted my own team." After administering the medicine, Ethan prepared a simple meal from their rations. As they ate, distant roars reminded them of the danger outside. "Will those creatures find us here?" Ethan asked. "Eventually," Zyrtak replied. "They hunt by sensing body heat and electrical signals. The barrier will hide us for a while, but not forever." Ethan nodded, checking his energy pistol. "Then we'll need to be ready." As the night grew deeper, Zyrtak spoke again. "You said humans don't leave their people behind. Has it always been this way?" Ethan smiled. "Not always. We learned it the hard way, through our own history. We used to be more like your confederation, focused only on survival, but we found that caring for each other, even at risk to ourselves, made us stronger as a species." "It seems inefficient," Zyrtak observed. "Maybe in the short term," Ethan agreed. "But in the long run, knowing someone will come for you, that you won't be abandoned, that creates a bond that makes a society stronger." They fell silent as a loud sniffing sound came from outside the cave. The energy barrier flickered slightly as something large moved past it. "Don't move," Ethan whispered, slowly raising his weapon. A massive shadow paused at the cave entrance. 6 glowing eyes peered in, searching. The creature let out a low growl before moving on. Ethan released the breath he'd been holding. "That was close." "It will return," Zyrtak said, "with others. Then we need better defenses." Ethan began sorting through their equipment. "Can you still access your knowledge of local biology? I need to know more about these creatures." Despite the pain, Zyrtak began explaining what the expedition had learned about the planet's predators. "They hunt in packs but hate bright light. Their skin is sensitive to certain frequencies of sound, and they seem to avoid the blue crystals in the ruins." Ethan's eyes lit up. "That gives me an idea." The next morning, Ethan ventured carefully outside the cave. Using the equipment they had, he rigged up light emitters around the perimeter and placed several of the blue crystals he had collected from the ruins at strategic points. When he returned, he found Zyrtak examining his own hand with surprise. "What is it?" Ethan asked. "I can feel my fingers," Zyrtak said, moving them slightly. "The paralysis, it's receding in some areas." Ethan rushed over with the scanner. "You're right. The toxin levels are decreasing." He looked at the readings more carefully. "But how? The medicine I gave you wasn't that powerful." Zyrtak's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, the Vrolian equivalent of a smile. "Perhaps it is something in my biology you do not understand yet. Or perhaps," the alien paused. "Perhaps what?" Ethan asked. "Perhaps it is having something to live for," Zyrtak said quietly. "Someone who did not abandon me." Outside, a creature howled, closer this time. Ethan checked his defenses one more time. "We're going to get through this," he promised. "Both of us." A week had passed. Outside the cave, a fierce storm raged. Purple lightning split the sky as acid rain poured down, sizzling when it hit the ground. Inside, Ethan added more fuel to their smoke eater. "The storm is good for us," he said, settling back against the cave wall. "The predators don't hunt during bad weather." Zyrtak nodded. The alien had regained movement in its upper body and could now sit up without help. "But our food supplies are running low." Ethan checked their rations. 3 days left, maybe 4 if we stretch it. He looked toward the cave entrance. "When the storm passes, I'll try to find something edible." The communication device in the corner suddenly beeped. Ethan rushed over and activated it. "Expedition base to Ethan Morris," came Kai's voice, broken by static. "Can you hear me?" "I hear you," Ethan replied. "We're still alive." "That's unexpected," Kai admitted. "Listen carefully. The Confederation Council has reviewed our report. They've decided that no rescue mission will be authorized." Ethan's heart sank. "What? Why not?" "Too dangerous," they say. "The planet has been marked as off-limits." The signal began breaking up. "I'm sorry, Ethan. We tried to." The transmission cut off. Ethan sat in silence, staring at the now-dead communicator. "What did they say?" Zyrtak asked. Ethan couldn't bring himself to share the bad news. "Just checking in," he lied. Signal was bad. Zyrtak studied him with all 4 eyes. "You are not telling the truth." "No rescue is coming," Ethan admitted after a moment. "We're on our own." To his surprise, Zyrtak didn't seem shocked. "I expected as much. The Confederation never wastes resources on unlikely survival scenarios." "That's cold," Ethan said. "It is our way," Zyrtak replied. "May I tell you why?" As the storm continued outside, Zyrtak explained the history of the Galactic Confederation. Centuries ago, the first 4 alien species had nearly destroyed themselves through wars and disasters. When they finally achieved peace and began exploring space together, they established strict rules about survival. 3 of our colony ships were lost during a solar storm, Zyrtak said. 200 ships stayed to search for survivors. They all ran out of fuel and were lost too. 10,000 died trying to save 300. After that, the rule was clear: never risk many lives to save few. "But that's," Ethan started. "Logical," Zyrtak finished. "For us, emotions like attachment and loyalty must be controlled. They are dangerous." Ethan shook his head. "Where I come from, those aren't weaknesses. They're strengths." "Tell me about your world," Zyrtak asked. "Why do humans think so differently?" Ethan spoke about Earth's history, about wars and heroism, about firefighters rushing into burning buildings and doctors fighting deadly diseases. "We learned that sometimes one person has to take a risk to save others," he explained. "And when everyone is willing to do that, to put others first, the whole group becomes stronger." Zyrtak was quiet for a long time. "I am beginning to understand. When you stayed with me, you did not expect to die. You believed we could survive together." "I hoped," Ethan corrected. "Hope is powerful." The alien moved its hand slowly, touching Ethan's arm. "In my culture, we would say you acted foolishly. But I cannot deny the results. I am recovering, and we are still alive." Suddenly, the ground shook beneath them. It wasn't the storm, it was something else. The tremor grew stronger, and dust fell from the cave ceiling. "What's happening?" Ethan asked, grabbing his equipment. "I don't know," Zyrtak said, struggling to stand with Ethan's help. "This planet has no recorded seismic activity." The shaking intensified. At the back of the cave, a crack appeared in the wall, widening quickly. "We need to get out of here," Ethan shouted, supporting Zyrtak as they moved toward the entrance. Before they could reach it, the back wall collapsed completely, revealing a hidden passage that glowed with soft blue light. Ethan and Zyrtak stared in amazement. "The ruins," Zyrtak whispered. "They extend under the entire area." As the dust settled, they could see a vast chamber beyond the broken wall, filled with the same strange technology they had discovered in the ruins before the attack. "Maybe there's something in there that can help us," Ethan said, his hope renewed. "Maybe this is our way out." Ethan held up a light as they slowly made their way into the hidden chamber. Zyrtak moved carefully beside him, still unsteady but able to walk with support. The chamber was enormous, with high ceilings covered in the same glowing symbols they had seen in the ruins above. Rows of strange devices lined the walls, untouched for what must have been thousands of years. "This is incredible," Ethan whispered. "An entire underground complex." Zyrtak moved toward one of the wall panels, studying the symbols. "I recognize some of these markings. They relate to biology and medicine." Ethan's heart beat faster. Could there be something here to help you? Some kind of advanced medical technology? "Possibly," Zyrtak said. "The civilization that built this was far more advanced than the Confederation." They spent hours exploring the chamber, documenting everything they found. Zyrtak translated what symbols it could, while Ethan examined the technology. "Look at this," Ethan called, standing before a platform surrounded by crystal pillars. "It seems different from everything else." Zyrtak joined him, running its fingers over the symbols beside the platform. "This talks about healing and restoration. I think this might be some kind of medical device." "Can we activate it?" Ethan asked. "Maybe," Zyrtak replied. "But it would be risky. We don't fully understand how it works." Before they could decide, a noise from the cave entrance caught their attention. Voices, not animal sounds, but people talking. "Someone's here," Ethan whispered, drawing his weapon. "Stay behind me." They moved back toward the cave opening and saw lights approaching from outside. Ethan took a defensive position, ready for trouble. 3 figures entered the cave, wearing Vrolian environmental suits. They stopped when they saw Ethan and Zyrtak. "Impossible," said the leader, removing his helmet to reveal blue skin and 4 eyes. "You're still alive." "Captain Vorden," Zyrtak said in shock. "You came back for us." The Vrolian captain looked uncomfortable. "Not exactly. We were sent to retrieve valuable biological samples from the ruins." He glanced at his companions. "Finding you alive was unexpected." Ethan lowered his weapon slightly. "But now that you're here, you can take us back, right?" "Of course," Vorden said smoothly. "Show us what you've discovered first." "Our scans detected unusual energy readings from this location." Ethan hesitated, but Zyrtak seemed eager to share their findings with fellow Vrolians. They led the newcomers into the underground chamber. "Remarkable," Vorden said, examining the ancient technology. "And you believe this device can heal?" "We think so," Zyrtak explained, showing them the platform. "The symbols suggest it can repair damaged tissue." Vorden nodded to his companions, who began setting up equipment around the chamber. "What are they doing?" Ethan asked quietly. "Standard research protocol," Zyrtak assured him. Vorden approached the platform. "May I examine it more closely?" As Zyrtak moved to show him the controls, Vorden suddenly pulled out a weapon and fired. The blast hit Ethan in the chest, throwing him against the wall. "Ethan," Zyrtak cried out, rushing to the human side. "I'm sorry, Zyrtak," Vorden said coldly. "But this discovery is too important. The Council wants all evidence of this technology, and any witnesses eliminated." As Ethan struggled to remain conscious, he saw the other Vrolians planting explosive devices around the chamber. "Why?" Zyrtak demanded. "We're your own people." "You were declared dead already," Vorden replied. "And the human is an outsider. The Council fears what would happen if Earth learned how advanced this technology is." Ethan tried to reach for his weapon, but the pain was too intense. His vision began to darken. The last thing he heard was Vorden's voice. "We'll be gone in 5 minutes. The charges will collapse this entire chamber. No one will ever know what happened here." Then darkness took him. Zyrtak watched in horror as Ethan fell unconscious, blood spreading across his chest. The human who had risked everything to save a stranger was dying, betrayed by Zyrtak's own people. Something changed in the Vrolian at that moment. Something fundamental. As Vorden and his team moved toward the exit, Zyrtak made a split-second decision. The Vrolian grabbed Ethan's weapon and fired at the ceiling above the cave entrance. Rocks crashed down, blocking the way out. "What are you doing?" Vorden shouted, spinning around. "You've trapped us all." "No," Zyrtak said, standing protectively over Ethan's body. "I've given us time." Vorden raised his weapon, but Zyrtak was faster. The shot struck one of the explosive devices, causing it to detonate prematurely. The blast knocked everyone off their feet and sent more rocks tumbling from the ceiling. When the dust settled, Zyrtak looked around. Vorden and his team lay unconscious, buried under debris. The chamber was damaged, but still intact. "Ethan," Zyrtak whispered, turning to the injured human. "Don't die. Please don't die." The wound in Ethan's chest was severe. He was barely breathing. Zyrtak had to act quickly. With newfound determination, Zyrtak dragged Ethan toward the ancient platform they had discovered. The Vrolian studied the control panel, trying to make sense of the symbols. "This has to work," Zyrtak muttered, placing Ethan carefully on the platform. After several attempts, the crystals surrounding the platform began to glow. A soft blue light enveloped Ethan's body, lifting him slightly above the surface. Zyrtak watched anxiously as the light pulsed around Ethan's wound. Slowly, incredibly, the bleeding stopped. Tissue began to knit back together before Zyrtak's eyes. While the machine worked, Zyrtak checked the rest of the chamber. The explosion had damaged several walls, revealing even more rooms beyond. In one, Zyrtak found containers of what appeared to be food. In another, strange devices that looked like weapons. A low growl from the far side of the chamber caught Zyrtak's attention. One of the predators had found its way in through a hole in the ceiling, its 6 eyes fixed on Zyrtak, claws clicking against the stone floor. Without Ethan to protect it, Zyrtak would have once been helpless. But something had changed. The Vrolian picked up one of the ancient devices and pointed it at the creature. To Zyrtak's surprise, the creature stopped. It tilted its head, as if listening. Zyrtak moved the device slightly, and the creature responded by stepping back. "You understand this," Zyrtak realized. "These aren't weapons. They're communication tools." More creatures appeared through the hole, surrounding Zyrtak, but they didn't attack. They seemed to be waiting. Experimentally, Zyrtak adjusted the device. Patterns of light emerged from it, forming shapes in the air. The creatures watched. Then one of them made a similar pattern with its claws. "You're intelligent," Zyrtak said in amazement. "You were protecting this place, weren't you? From us, from invaders." A groan from the platform caught Zyrtak's attention. The blue light had faded, and Ethan was waking up. "What happened?" Ethan asked weakly, touching his chest, where the wound had been. "Many things," Zyrtak said, helping him sit up. "The ancient technology healed you, and I've made some new friends." Ethan's eyes widened as he saw the creatures standing calmly around them. "How is this possible?" "They're not just animals," Zyrtak explained. "They're guardians of this place, and I think they can help us." One of the creatures stepped forward, making more patterns with its claws. Zyrtak used the device to respond. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked. "Learning their language," Zyrtak said. "They know this planet better than anyone. They might know a way for us to send a message, or even leave." Ethan looked at the unconscious Vrolians under the rubble. "What about them?" "They will face justice," Zyrtak said firmly. "But not their kind of justice. Yours. Human justice. The kind that gives second chances." Ethan smiled weakly. "Looks like I taught you something after all." "You taught me everything that matters," Zyrtak replied. "Now it's my turn to save you." 2 weeks had passed since Zyrtak had discovered how to communicate with the native creatures of HFY 7. Ethan and Zyrtak now called them the Guardians, protectors of the ancient technology hidden beneath the planet's surface. Working together, they had learned much. The civilization that built the ruins had vanished thousands of years ago, but they had left behind incredible technology, including a powerful communication system. "Are you sure this will work?" Ethan asked as Zyrtak made final adjustments to the device they had assembled from parts found in the underground complex. "The Guardians believe it will," Zyrtak replied. "This beacon should be strong enough to reach beyond this solar system." Behind them, several Guardians watched with interest. Over the past weeks, they had become allies, showing Ethan and Zyrtak hidden chambers filled with food, water, and technology. Vorden and his team remained their prisoners. They were treated well but kept separate from the ancient technology they had tried to steal. "Ready," Zyrtak announced, activating the beacon. Now we wait. 3 days later, as Ethan and Zyrtak were cataloging artifacts in one of the chambers, a Guardian rushed in, making urgent signals with its claws. "What is it saying?" Ethan asked. "A ship has entered orbit," Zyrtak translated. "Not Confederation design." They hurried to the surface, emerging from a hidden entrance the Guardians had shown them. In the sky above, a spacecraft was descending toward the clearing where they had first set up camp. "That's an Earth vessel," Ethan said in disbelief. "But how?" When the ship landed, a woman in an Earth Space Command uniform emerged, followed by armed officers. "Captain Lisa Carver, ESS Discovery," she announced when she saw Ethan. "Are you Ethan Morris?" "Yes," Ethan replied, still stunned. "How did you find us?" "We picked up your beacon," she explained. "Earth has been searching for you since we learned the Confederation abandoned you here." "The Confederation told you what happened?" Zyrtak asked. "Eventually," Captain Carver said. "After we demanded answers, when Earth learned that they left one of our people behind, and that he stayed to help an injured alien, diplomatic relations became strained. More crew members emerged from the ship, securing the area. Earth rejected Confederation membership," Carver continued. "We decided we didn't want to be part of an alliance that abandons people in need. Our values are too different." Ethan introduced Zyrtak and explained everything that had happened: the betrayal, the ancient technology, and the Guardians. "What about them?" Ethan asked, pointing to where Vorden and his team were being brought up from underground by Earth officers and Guardians working together. "They'll face trial for attempted murder," Carver said, "but fairly, with the right to defend themselves. That's our way." As they prepared to leave, Zyrtak approached Ethan privately. "I cannot return to my people," the Vrolian said. "Not after everything that's happened. Their ways are no longer mine." "You could come to Earth," Ethan suggested. "You'd be welcome there." "As what?" "A refugee. A specimen to study." "As a teacher," Ethan said, "you've seen both sides. Confederation logic and human compassion. You could help bridge the gap between our cultures." 6 months later, Zyrtak stood before a packed auditorium on Earth. Diplomats from a dozen worlds, including some Confederation species, had come to hear the Vrolian speak. "I was paralyzed and left to die," Zyrtak began. "All but one abandoned me, following the cold logic that has guided our species for centuries. That one was human, a species we had known for less than 3 years." The audience was silent, captivated. "What I learned in those weeks on Xora 7 changed me forever. I learned that compassion is not weakness, that hope has power, that sometimes the illogical choice, staying with someone who might die, can lead to the greatest discoveries." In the front row, Ethan smiled. The ancient technology from Xora 7 was now being studied jointly by humans and those Confederation species who had begun questioning their old ways. A new alliance was forming, built on different principles. "One human stayed behind," Zyrtak concluded. "And because of that single act of compassion, entire civilizations may change for the better. That is humanity's greatest legacy to the stars."